What is happening, everybody? Today we are, well, you guessed it, talking more about the 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning, and more specifically about kind of the pickle that a lot of reservation holders are in, including myself. So if you're not caught up, the 2023, the first wave of actual 2023 orders just kind of started, and I was in that wave. It's technically wave 3, but those first 2 waves, if you recall, were actually people that postponed their reservation from last year because the trim they wanted wasn't available. And in short, what happened is this time around, when new people got to order, they didn't have that option. And in fact, 2 of the 4 trims were sold out. To be fair, the Pro, which is the cheapest one, was the only one sold out when I first got my invite. However, I waited about I literally slept on it, and the next morning, the XLT, which is the second cheapest option, was also sold out. Who would have thought? That's actually the one that I kind of wanted, which puts me in an awkward situation, and you might be in that same situation too. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So whether you just got your order or you were expected to be in the next couple waves, if we look at last year, they'll probably do about 6 waves. So there's still a chance for a lot of you to get your order, but there's not a chance for you guys to get anything lower than a Lariat model. And in fact, there's a button, let's start there, that says contact your dealer. When last year it used to say postpone your reservation. So this time around, if you do not buy the Lariat or higher, it just seems like your reservation is gone and you have to get your $100 back and say bye. And in fact, there's some footage here that I'll show you to kind of confirm that. Well, first of all, I contacted my dealer and I said, hey, what's going on? And he said, yeah, it looks like it's sold out, but we haven't been told anything from Ford. So you're just kind of stuck getting the Lariat. And I don't know if that's all the way true or if maybe that's really, he hasn't heard anything from Ford. Now there's other kind of FAQ that a user or a watcher of my channel actually just sent to me that reads this. If my preferred vehicle configuration is not available, can I hold my place in line for a later model year vehicle? And the answer is no. Once invited to order, you will have the availability to select any of the current models available. Again, just a Lariat or a Platinum. So the cheapest one is $76,000 if you count the other fees. It says you can also cancel your reservation and receive your deposit at any time. So that's it. This is the end of the line. Ford, if I had to guess their reasoning for this, is they just don't want to do what they did last year, where they have to honor this year's prices. So that means they're prepared to maybe even raise prices next year, and they don't want to lock anyone in at this cheaper pricing and extend them. I bet that was a huge headache for them to deal with this year, and they just said, hey, let's not do it. I have another theory here too. There's been so many rumors about an electric Maverick or an electric Ranger that perhaps they're purposely limited. This is a big stretch, but I think maybe they're limiting these cheaper options so that people who were interested in a more affordable electric truck will then be their new buyer base for these cheaper, maybe cheaper, because, you know, I can dream, right? But you'd assume the Maverick or the Ranger, if they were electrified, they would probably come in at $30,000 to $40,000. So maybe they're planning on actually unveiling that within the next couple of years and taking some of that Pro base that they had for the Lightning and saying, hey, we got another option for you actually. Now that's kind of an optimistic kind of view that I have, like, hey, maybe there'll be other options and there's light at the end of the tunnel. But right now, yeah, it just kind of sucks for a lot of people who wanted those Pros and have been waiting for 2 years, or at the point that it'll be 2 years. They've waited maybe even longer when they can actually get one. And not only that, it seems like they'll have to compete with the general public. Their reservation means nothing because, I mean, if they're really not extending the order, then all of a sudden when the Pros become available again, there's no prioritization. Because the reservation system's done after this. So Joe Schmo off the street who hasn't been waiting for 2 years will also be able to contact his dealer the same way someone with a reservation holder, and they'll just have to square off to see who gets there first. You can, hope and pray that your dealer holds your place in line, but That's a big stretch. All this to say, you know, where do I stand, right? I don't know if you actually care, but I'll kind of fill you in. I was in a little wedge. I was really considering, you know, what do I do? I wasn't not going to order one, just, you know, sunk cost fallacy maybe of just like, I've been waiting, my time and money is on the line here, and I've been so set on getting this vehicle, there's no way I walk away at this point. And then from there, I was like, well, let's talk myself into getting this higher trim. Spoiler alert, I did go with just the base Lariat, like the cheapest thing I could get, essentially, which is far from cheap. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I obviously just wanted a Lightning from day one, and I still want one. I have a F-150 Lariat right now, so at least I won't feel like I'm downgrading. Like I was a fear I kind of had of, like, you know, I've got the heated and ventilated seats right now. I've got the works in my truck. So if I were to go to like an electric Pro, I'd be losing a lot of like the bells and whistle for just to go electric. And while I think it's worth it in the long run, it was still something weighing on me. So all said and done, I'm like, you know what, the Lariat will be pretty cool. Now let me justify this purchase. And I think I was able to do that. So what I'm pulling up now is a screen capture. I went ahead and built an ICE Power Boost, which is the hybrid Lariat. And what I did is I added all the features that the electric Lariat has. Long story short, you know, I went ahead and added the tech package. I added the folding center console, so it would be everything that the electric Lariat is. And what I found was the price is actually pretty similar. So at the end of it, I got to $72,000. And one small caveat on this is, on this ICE build, I added the 360 Active 2.0, and I went back and realized that did not come standard on my electric. That was also going to be a $2,000. So technically, this price will be closer to $70,000. And then just another caveat, there is a $500 incentive for this particular build I made. So the real ending price of this, I know this is getting confusing, is $70,500, which really is kind of interesting because my all said and done price on the electric Lariat with these exact same features at this point is going to be $76,000. So really $6,000-ish to go electric. If you're squaring off 1-to-1, that seems pretty much worth it. You're going to make up that in gas prices as long as you home charge pretty quickly. So that was one way I justified it in my head. The other reason I said was, well, let's be honest. These things are going to hold their value. My dealer even told me this. He's like, because I voiced to him like, hey, can you look into the XLT and the Pro and stuff? And he said, no, there's nothing I can do. And he said, but just know your Lariat's probably going to be worth $25,000 more than whatever you pay for it, which is MSRP. I did confirm that. And I kind of been thinking that in the back of my head too, like worst case, if I don't know, I can't afford it for whatever reason, I could always turn around and sell it, which I don't plan on doing for the record. I want to ride this thing as much as possible, or drive this thing as much as possible. But it's good to know in the back of my head that even if I, you know, use this thing for a year, I'll probably be able to sell it for exactly what I paid for it. So that's another thing that's been floating. I just kind of have to pay like my payments as like I'm looking at it as like a deposit almost. And then I just keep paying my monthly deposit. And then once I'm ready to sell it or the next thing comes around, I'll just kind of break even, which is not a bad idea, especially if you're someone in my situation and you can afford it. So the last thing I'm saying is you should capitalize on your purchase and go ahead and flip it. That's kind of what's getting us into this problem and why the prices keep going up. So I don't love that. But if you were interested to begin with and you know it'll hold its value well, why not keep it for a couple months, maybe even a couple years, and then at that point sell it? You know, I think we can argue the morality here all day, but the truth is you have a lot of time and there's actual money. I mean, it's only $100, but there's actual time and money that you've invested into this. So you might as well get something out of it, even if it's just to have a fun truck for a year, you know? That's at least the way I'm looking at it. But also, if you're just fully out on this, then yeah, you should probably just get your reservation back and let the person behind you in line who's also been waiting, you know, get their chance as well too. So, but the way that Ford has stacked this, there's, at this point, all rules are off in my opinion. It's just, you know, do what you can do. So next is, well, what if I looked for another electric truck? Well, that's hard to do because, yeah, I have a Silverado reservation, but that has a big question mark on it. And I'd probably be willing to wait for a Rivian, but that's $1,000 deposit. And also, you know, easily another year or two, I'd have to wait for that. So that's kind of out the window. But let's say I could get the Rivian. Let's just pull up that pricing real quick, just so we can see it. Okay, so I popped it open. Immediately, it wants me to spend $87,000 on a Rivian, which is probably worth it. These things rule. But you can get it down to $73,000, and this is all current pricing. There's a lot of people getting these for under $70,000 with the old configuration, but this is the way of the world now. So we'd go to the dual motor, which, hey, that's actually what the Lightning has, so that's a pretty fair spec. And we have the large pack battery. Well, I did a standard, so I'm going to do the closest thing to my Lightning. And look at that. I'm at $73,000. It's only $1,000 difference. At the end of the day, wow, these are pretty close. And you could argue which one's better for what case. And you technically get, on this build, you'd get more in the Lightning than you would the Rivian as far as size. However, I think the Rivian has a little bit more as far as tech, because some of the features like the phone as key and stuff comes standard on the Rivian, whereas the Lariat, I'm realizing when I ordered, I did not even include the one thing I wanted from day one, which I should have just thrown on. So that was kind of my justification. If I were to get a new truck, I weighed it against the ICE version of a Lariat and the only other electric truck on the market really, which is a Rivian. And both of them, they're all three really highly comparable, aren't they? Like, I was really surprised at how expensive the hybrid F-150 Lariat with all of the tech features that the Lightning has, what it comes out to. Like I said, that was about $70K as is, and to go electric for only $6,000 more, that I'm all about. I love that. And then looking at the Rivian, again, very, very close battle between those two. And at the end of the day, I've been leaning more towards the Lightning anyway, so boom, that justified my purchase. The final thing I'll say is, you know, why didn't I not go the extended pack? I'm on the fence of if I should have maybe done that. However, I wanted to lock in the tax credit, and there's still so much of a gray area right now. Because I might not take delivery until next year, I needed to make sure just in case that I stay under that. There's of course other reasons why I wanted to, you know, trim some costs here, but also I just wanted to be safe than sorry so that I could still get that $7,500 tax credit on my Lariat that I chose. So now the final pickle I'll have to look at is I have a 2017 Lariat in my driveway already. It's loaded. It's got everything I could ever need. It's got a big ass sunroof. It's got heated and cooled seats. I love it. Is the electric really going to be that much better than my 2017 Lariat? Well, I'm going to keep them both for a while, and I'm going to make videos on that, and we can look together because I'm excited to kind of do some comparison. I already have so many video ideas that I want to dive into with this thing. I'm, at the end of the day, still very, very excited that I'm about to finally get my electric truck. I've got charging videos to make. I have that home charger from Lectron that is just sitting in my basement waiting to be installed. So tons of videos to come. I really hope you guys come along with me on this lightning journey that we're about to go on. We're going to investigate some charging. We're going to do, you name it. I can't wait. So those of you who've been with me this long, hey, we kind of made it, right? And I hope you guys do too. I'm really feeling for you. Whenever I see a comment that said like, congrats, I still haven't heard, I'm like, I feel you. That's how I felt all last year. So I really empathize with you guys who've been waiting. And those of you who already have it, I'm jealous of, frankly. So long story short, I really appreciate all you guys for watching my videos, and I'm not stopping. Although I have a baby due tomorrow. So if I'm not here for a little bit, please stick around for, a little bit longer. I'd appreciate that. But it might be a little before I make a video, new baby and all. That's all. Bye, guys.